Welcome back to the Center in the City podcast. I'm your host, Wade Brill, and I am so glad you are here. In today's soul episode, we are discussing the theme of bringing rituals into our everyday life. This topic is especially requested by a listener, so I'm so grateful for your feedback. If you have special requests of topics to cover or interviews that you want me to have or topics you want to explore deeper, please share them with me because I want this podcast to be supporting you in your life. So, hearing what you're curious about or what you're wanting more support with is so amazing. This topic came up in a discussion because we were exploring the idea that, hey, how can I practice ritualizing something in my life in these micro moments where I want to really mark the honoring or the celebration of something? For instance, in our culture, we're conditioned to celebrate people's birthdays, right? We know the day of the year it's going to happen, and we will give our people a card or a call or a text or a gift or blow out a candle. There's something that ritualizes, that commemorates that celebration. And so it's kind of interesting to think about, how and why do I want to bring more rituals into my life? And this is something we're going to explore on the podcast together. I know personally, having rituals is a way to make life feel more sacred. It's a way to slow down. It's a way to build deeper connection with the moment, with the experience, with the people around me. And so often in our busy modern day lives, we can have an intention to want to ritualize or celebrate something, but we maybe forget about it, or it becomes a box to check, or we think we're going to do it, but then it happens and we didn't celebrate anything, and then time passes and we move on. Rituals are really important because they mark a moment in time. They really honor the place, the space, the event, the people. And when we think about holidays in our culture, holidays are a beautiful time to come together. And during holidays, we each have probably different rituals that we practice to celebrate that holiday. When you think about Christmas, your family might eat a certain thing or have a certain flow in the day of when you open up presents and when you do this and do that, and each family might be different. When you think about your birthday, you might decide that you have your own ritual of how you like to celebrate your birthday, whether that's, taking the day off of work, or whether that's taking yourself out to your favorite meal, or doing your favorite workout class, or taking a walk. I know for me, one of my rituals on my birthdays is making sure I have some alone time to journal, to really celebrate the last year, to reflect, to honor my life, to send some kind words to myself, to also just like zoom out and take in life. So you can see I'm getting ahead of myself. Today on the pod, we're going to dive deeper into this and explore how you can create simple little rituals in your everyday life to fit those moments when you want to honor, those moments that you want to commemorate, those moments that you want to hold as sacred. So, whenever or wherever you are as you listen to this podcast, I hope you settle in and let's get centered. If you are a consistent listener to the Center in the City podcast, you are probably in the category of millennial or Gen Z. If you're an outlier, welcome. You are still welcome here. But I specifically want to say that that group of people, millennials and Gen Zs, typically express that they are more spiritual than they are religious. And more people are pulling out of organized religions over the last 20 years, that we're still, and I say we as in this category, are still craving connection to spirituality, connection to something bigger than ourselves. And you could also be somebody who is in organized religion and still craving spirituality and still craving that connection to something bigger. And spirituality is a really big topic, and spirituality can mean many things to many different people. So I don't want to create a dogmatic definition of it. For me, spirituality is this connection to something bigger than myself. And it very much, for me, is connected to Mother Nature. There feels to me like this greater vibration of energy that surrounds us all and yet connects us all. And I feel it very much when I look at trees and I'm near the ocean and I'm in the mountains and I'm by flowers and gardens. And when I'm walking, I truly feel we are all connected. And when I connect to spirituality throughout my day, whether that's on a walk, whether that's even just looking outside my window, whether that's staring at the birds or flowers or making a bouquet in my garden, it not only allows me to remind my ego and my sense of self that there's something greater than me, but it's a reminder to me of how beautiful the world is, how lucky and grateful I am to be alive, and this idea of how can I contribute to the world being a greater place where we can all feel loved and safe. And the more spiritual I get over the years, the more I feel like I can tap into whispers that I hear. So, not just intuitive intuition hits that are coming from like my own body, but whispers that I'm hearing from somebody else or something else. Meaning, I've heard other friends or people in communities that I belong to talk about them being your angels or your guides. I don't know how that language resonates for me yet, but I definitely do feel that there's a connection to spirit, to something greater than me that I try to listen to. You've been listening to the podcast for years. You know that I've been on a journey of trust, building trust with myself, building trust with the universe. This is something I also support a lot of my clients with because it's such a root cause of a lot of anxiety that we face, that people face. And so when I practice trust in the universe, there's also me tapping into my spirituality, this place of surrender and this ability that I know I'm supported by something greater than just me. And I truly, in my bones, feel that humans, we need spirituality. Again, whatever flavor of spirituality that means to you, maybe that is spirituality just means love, it just means kindness. Maybe spirituality is just putting your feet in the ocean or touching a tree, like listening to music, whatever your version is. I deeply believe that all of us humans really yearn for it and that it's part of our basic needs to survive and thrive, specifically and especially in this modern day world where we're getting more and more disconnected from our spirituality, from the things that are real in life. So, rituals are these intentional practices, this intentional way of commemorating, honoring, celebrating a situation, an event, an experience, an insight that offer a moment for me and maybe for you too to tap into spirituality, to tap into my heart, and to commemorate, right? Mark that this moment in time, however small, is important and something that I want to honor. I think if you slow down and examine your life, you might be actually really surprised of how many rituals you already have. For some, it might be making that Friday night pizza night with your family. It might be Shabbat, lighting the candles. It might be Saturday morning pancakes or French toast. It might be Thursday night date night. At the end of every school year or during the summer, you always do blank X, Y, and Z. I think it's really important to examine your rituals in life because some of them might be so conditioned into our way of being that they're just assumed. Like, for instance, conditioned that it's Thanksgiving. So, of course, you're going to have turkey. That's part of the ritual. Can you just see that like all of my ritual examples are food related? Anyway, I digress. But I had a friend actually tell me that for him, his family realized, why are we doing that? We don't actually enjoy turkey. And so they completely scrapped that. And for Thanksgiving, they started making nachos. So it is fun and important to examine rituals in our life to think about what's serving us and what's not, and how do we want to adjust. Rituals are really important, not only from a sense of being able to mark time and space in life and to mark something special, but there's actually research that demonstrates they improve our well being because they reduce anxiety. They create something to look forward to. There's sometimes this element of social connection that comes with our rituals. There's a level of consistency that rituals create that is really soothing to our nervous systems, right? There's some sort of control that we can have amid the uncertainty that we navigate as humans in our modern day life. For instance, I remember there being this study that there was, I believe it was a basketball player who followed a certain ritual that he practiced before his games. And having that ritual was really grounding for him and his anxiety before performing. If you've listened to other podcast episodes where I've talked about the differences of rituals and routines and our habits, I really think that rituals, it comes down to these three pillars of what creates a ritual in my mind. So these three pillars, these three core elements of a ritual are: one, intention. So what's the purpose or the meaning behind this ritual, right? Having an intention can be really helpful in cultivating experience. So for instance, is the intention to celebrate something? Is the intention to mark a significance? Is the intention to build connection? Is the intention to invite rest? Is the intention to just like honor a moment in time and space? We have to have our intention, right? Is it to cultivate some time to connect inwards? So, for instance, my morning meditation ritual, that would be my intention. My intention is to connect inwards and also connect outwards. So, I would just say maybe my intention is connection, is deeply connecting. The second pillar of ritual here is symbolic action. And that could look like many different things. So, for instance, my meditation practice, that's the act of sitting on my cushion and physically meditating. Another symbolic action could be cooking a certain dish or eating a meal together or lighting a candle or saying a few words or cheersing, right? Any of these actions bring the intention alive. And then a third pillar here of creating rituals is engaging our mindfulness muscles. So, what I mean by this is that there is a sense of presence, there is a sense of awareness of what's happening in this moment without judgment, with a lot of curiosity. Because when we are able to be present and be able to be conscious and aware, that's when we're able to create this deeper sense of alignment to our intention and our action. When we activate our mindfulness muscles, we're also slowing down, we're tuning in, we're off of autopilot. And so we enter into the present moment. And if you are listening, you probably know that when you are present, life feels so much more vivid and powerful and four-dimensional because you can smell it, you can taste it, you can see it, you can touch it. Like life becomes alive and we're very much connected to what's happening. When we cultivate rituals, it's also a portal, an invitation to get present, to engage our mindfulness muscles so that we can really take in the beautifulness of life, the sacredness of life. A morning ritual that I'm also practicing these days is going out into the garden, one of the first things, even before I'm meditating. And I say hello to the flowers. I will pick some raspberries. I will sometimes pick some kale for a smoothie or do something kind of in the garden really briefly. But it's a moment, the intention there is for connection and care. And then the action is me picking fruit, me picking flowers, me picking something. But like the action is really a sense of like getting into the garden, right? Like connecting with it, reaping, receiving all of the bounty. And it's an opportunity that helps me get present. I touch something real. I see the colors. I see the growth. I see the hard work from my husband mostly. Like it's a moment to feel something bigger than myself, something outside of myself. It's a moment to really celebrate the cycles and seasons of life. Something I appreciate watching the garden and connecting with the garden is, like raspberry season's only a few weeks. Strawberry season is only a few weeks. So this idea of like, oh, I'm savoring this moment because it's also going to be gone. So, designing and creating rituals might sound exhausting or nauseating to some listeners, but for other listeners, it's also an invitation that feels life giving. It's an invitation to bring more sacredness to life, to bring more intentionality into our life, to make these smaller, more mundane moments in life have some deeper meaning. And I think we're all looking for, as I mentioned earlier, a connection to something greater. We're all looking for something to connect us to our spirituality. Again, whatever that means to you. So I would invite you to think in your life, like, where are you wanting to sprinkle some more rituals into your life? What could it even look like to make checking your email into a ritual? Your intention might be communication, or it might be organization, or it might be connection, or it might be inspiration, whatever it is. Ground into your intention, and then your action. What is that going to be? Maybe that's opening up your email. Maybe that's lighting a candle before you open up your email. Maybe that's putting on some music while you check your email. Thinking about, again, how you want to take that action with a little bit of extra je ne sais quoi, right? Some extra interest, some extra spice into it that can help make it feel more enjoyable or help you connect to your intention. And then you'll probably notice your mindfulness muscles will activate because you're way more tuned in, you're less on autopilot. So excited to hear how this episode is landing for you, what ritual inspiration is coming alive for you. Share with me on Instagram at OneWade. Send me a message linked in the show notes. I want to hear from you and how you are intentionally altering the rituals in your life or cultivating the rituals in your life. If you are looking for more ways to make self-care a ritual, I welcome you to get a hold of my new book, 100 Mindful Moments to Balance and Energize, if you don't already have it. And you can think about how to use this book as a way to cultivate a ritual. So, for instance, your intention could be, I want to cultivate more self-care. And then the action would be maybe lighting a candle, grabbing your journal, grabbing the book, and flipping to a finger of the mindful hand of self care. So, whether it's mindset, fuel, movement, space, or renewal that you're wanting or needing some more inspiration from, some more self care. And then turning to that page in the book and thinking about, okay, which one of these mindful moments, or even one of my own mindful moments, because there's space to reflect for you to create your own, because you have your own wisdom to tap into. Which mindful moment do I want to engage that's going to support me in taking care? And doing that action of maybe journaling or thinking about it, or for you, maybe it's taking it on a walk and pondering it and helping you again strengthen your mindfulness muscles to be more present, to think about how do you want to care for yourself, knowing that when you care, when you truly care for yourself, you have so much more capacity to be caring for others. You're not in survival mode. Your cup feels full and you're able to give with so much more. And our world needs that. Our world needs each one of us to be showing up, to be more present, to be more connected, to be more loving to one another. And that begins with our own inner work. I welcome you to think about somebody in your life who would enjoy this podcast episode, a friend who's into ritual creation, or a friend who's wanting to explore this topic in more depth. Share it with them so that you guys can spark a conversation and a way to support each other, bringing rituals into your own lives or even into your friend or community circles. And until next time, stay centered.